programs we've demonstrated thus far have used the sequence programming structure only, where each of the program instructions were processed one after another, in the order in which they appeared in the program. In many programs, however, the next instruction to be processed will depend on the result of a decision or a comparison that the program must make. For example, a payroll program might need to determine if an employee worked overtime. Assuming a 40-hour work week, the program can make that determination by comparing the number of hours the employee worked to the number 40. Based on the result of that comparison, the program will then select either an instruction that computes regular pay or an instruction that computes overtime pay. Before looking at examples of if or if-else structures, let's discuss the syntax that's required in the language C. There are two basic structures I will discuss. In both cases, the condition that you express must be placed in parentheses, immediately following the if statement. If you want to execute one statement and one statement only, if that condition is true, then place that statement immediately after the condition, followed by a semicolon. The else statement, or the else portion of the statement, allows you to execute code if the condition being tested for is false. Once again, if you want one statement executed, you can place that statement immediately after the word else, ending in a semicolon. An alternative to this structure is to use a block of statements for each condition. That is, the condition is still being tested for, is still in parentheses, and it still follows the if statement. If, however, you would like to execute more than one statement, if that condition is true, then use the opening and closing brace to specify a block of statements for that true condition. Likewise, for the else condition, if you wish to execute more than one statement, use the opening and closing brace for the else portion of the statement. Inside of the braces, you write code as normal. That is, you use semicolons to end lines of code just like you would if you were not using the if-else structure. Note also in the illustrations that the if and the else portions are indented. This is not a requirement of the C language, but it does make your code much easier to read and understand. Also, when using the block method, you should indent the opening and closing brace. Once again, this is not a requirement of C, but it does make your programs much easier to understand and to work with. Also, one tip, although it is not required in the if statement, it is a good programming practice to mark the end of the if statement with a comment, such as end if. This will make your program simply easy to work with and have a notation of the end of each if and if-else structure. The condition that is being tested must be in a Boolean expression, which means that it must be answered as either a true or false value. The Boolean expression can contain variables, constants, functions, mathematical operators, relational operators, and logical operators. We've already discussed variables, constants, and functions, and so forth. You will learn about the relational operators and the logical operators in the next segment.